in the carriage of sea, rail, road, and air. For we've been dealing, the way we deal in dangerous goods, the road also carries dangerous goods, the air carries dangerous goods. So the cost is targeted at all responsible employees for shipping chemicals. The material and the test therefore focus on the duties of the sender. After completing the course, you should be able to familiarize yourself with these duties and be able to prepare and initiate appropriate transport of dangerous goods. You will be placed to do so if you know all the individual stages of the transport procedure and the people involved and their individual roles. So, the first one is that you'll be obtaining an overview of dangerous goods regulation. Then the second one, you getting to know the typical stages of dangerous goods transport. Then classification, or you classifying dangerous goods currently. Then getting to know those involved and their roles in the transport of dangerous goods. Now, there are certain provisions, security provisions, that you need to know for the purposes of this chapter. We have security means measures or precautions that you have to take to minimize theft or misuse of dangerous goods that may be you as human beings may be exposed to, and that may endanger person's property or the environment. Don't forget, the environment in any of our courses is very, very, very important. So never lose sight of the environment anytime you are dealing with freight forwarding. Because freight forwarding strives in the environment. So if you are in the freight forwarding industry and you are not keen or you are not averse to the environmental, issues, then you are not helping matters. So all persons engaged in the carriage of dangerous goods should consider the security requirements commensurate with their responsibilities and observe the following rules. First, dangerous goods shall only be offered for carriage to carriers that have been appropriately identified. There's a difference between identification and seeing. You can see somebody, but you may not have identified the person. You are moving in Makola, then you see somebody who has known you before. You have not identified him, but immediately you see him, he will just start waving you. You can wave back, but afterwards you go and ask yourself, this person, where do I know him? Means you have not identified the person, and you only saw him. So each member of a vehicle crew shall carry with them the means of identification, which includes their photograph during carriage of dangerous goods. The areas within temporary storage terminal shall be properly secured. That's why in certain places, dangerous goods, when they are discharging them or they are dealing with them, they condom of the area, and then they will put a well-lit light, and where possible, the appropriate, not accessible to the general public. The appropriate place should not accessible be to the general public, because you can never know who will be carrying a mobile phone, making calls within the chemical area or dangerous goods area, and to spark fire, petrol or anything, diesel, to spark fire. So all persons engaged need to absorb security training. They have to be given proper security training, which is related to dangerous goods. Then there's also the safety plans that are mandatory for high consequence dangerous goods. That is goods that can easily catch fire and can burn highly. They are the high consequence dangerous goods with high potential risk. When you go to the definition of ADR, page 1 of 10 and 3. So, this is an overview. General transport of dangerous goods as follows. We are talking about the basic principles that has to be done. Then we talk about classification, packaging, labeling, documentation. So the processes: you classify, you pack, you label, you get your declaration, you transport it, and the owner will receive it. Remember, we have done this in dangerous goods itself as a model. And I told you that the key person is the shipper who does the classification. And important, you are involved in that transportation, so you are also responsible for security so far. So get yourself involved if you are in the industry, especially when it comes to the transport of dangerous goods, so that you know the responsibilities for your security so far. What are the dangerous goods? We have defined dangerous goods as substances that pose a risk to health, safety, property, or the environment. Dangerous goods include not only toxic or explosive reagents, but also biological substances or everyday articles that we might not immediately consider to be dangerous. Such substances and articles may have the following properties. They may be toxic, flammable, radioactive, etc. And I've given you the qualities and the characteristics of dangerous goods when we did the dangerous goods lecture. So road transport of dangerous goods or cargo uses ADR as a treaty, Accord Dangerous Routiers. It's an European agreement on the international carriage of dangerous goods by road, which was reached in Geneva on the 30th of September 1957, under the auspices of the United Nations Economic Commission for Europe, and it entered into force on the 29th of January 1968. The dangerous goods may create or emit substances or substance that may be harmful to one's health or cause physical damage to things or the environment during the process of manufacture or consumption. Basically, the provision of the ADR as well as the recommendation of the United Nations Committee are the same. With regards to transport of dangerous goods, they provide for special precautions to be taken depending on the nature of the goods and the degree of the hazard they can cause. So based on these regulations and recommendations, the individual railroad, port, and government authorities have framed their own regulations governing the transport of dangerous goods. Failure to comply with these regulations may seriously cause damage to property, endanger lives, and attract severe penalty from the authorities concerned. What are the responsibilities of the consignor? Remember, we have the consignee, consignor, employee, employer, obligee, obligor. All these things, whatever you see the norm or they give out, and the employee, they will receive. The obligee will receive, consignee will receive goods, then consignor will send. I believe that is clear. It is the responsibility of the consignor to make the necessary declaration as to the nature, packing, marking, labeling, etc. of dangerous goods via the SDT, the shipper's declaration for the transport of dangerous goods, and hand it over to the carrier or the freight forwarder whose services he wants to make use of. Then the forwarder is not responsible for the correctness of the declaration made by the shipper, but he must provide the necessary guidance and assistance to the shipper by furnishing him with the necessary particulars. So the forwarder who is to advise should be all-knowing, can guide the shipper where there are shortfalls in completing the form. Then the procedure and conditions for settlement of claims. Before you transport dangerous goods, make sure you insure the cargo. Then in the event of any liability or mishap, damage, loss occurring during transport, you can claim. This always do arise, and when this does happen, the consignor must adhere to the following conditions. Claiming would also help to mitigate you. Claims must be filed within the stipulated period, usually 7 days, after taking delivery of the goods. The claim might be filed with the carrier issuing the goods consignment note, the receiving of delivering carrier. In case of non-delivery, it should be filed within 60 days after a reasonable time for effecting delivery has elapsed. Now, suits for claim must be filed in the appropriate court about 9 months from the date of notice in writing as given by the carrier that the claim has been disallowed. So, if you put the notice in writing, the carrier may ask that, no, yes, we are liable, we are not liable, we will reply. And the value of the goods to be paid is equal to the actual value of the goods or the invoice value or that mentioned in the dispatch document. I've come to the end of that slide.